Hello and welcome. I'd like to thank the American Acupuncture Council for actually producing these informative Facebook Lives and YouTube Lives. My name is Cho Lin Moy. I am the founder of Integrative Healing Arts Acupuncture in New York City. And I'm very excited to be with you today when we're going to talk about new health models. And so let's go to the slides. Okay, so where we are. So this talk is actually about health models and really like a new paradigm in which we are finding ourselves as acupuncturists, Chinese medicine practitioners, and brick and mortar businesses. So I'm also a brick and mortar business. I have an office in Union Square in New York City, where I see patients in person. And so what we're really going to be looking at is are the health models that can actually support you and your patients and your practice as we're navigating what is uncertainty. This is about resilience for your acupuncture and Chinese medicine practice as we enter what I'm calling P3, which is year 3 of the pandemic, and that's 2022. For you future listeners in the archives. And all right, so we'll go to the next slide. So where are we versus where are we heading? So traditional brick and mortar businesses and services have been suffering, especially if you have an in-person service. And this is something that I want to point out was already true before COVID happened. Especially true right now for acupuncture, massage therapy, businesses like hair salons and other touch-based services. And so what I want to just say is there really isn't a substitute for touch, in-person service. And as much as, a lot of the telemedicine that has been going on and virtual this and virtual that, realistically, human touch is extremely important. Of course, research shows it makes a difference, right? Babies that don't get touched end up having psychological problems and developmental problems. And this is not just limited to children. It shows up later on. So some in-person services, I'm going to point out, were able to pivot because they were able to offer virtual substitutes or a hybrid. So this is something like yoga, right? And in fact, I looked it up. There was an uptick in yoga from the pre-pandemic, right? In terms of going virtual. Now, yoga has been a trend, which is really good for us. The similar, what we call an avatar or person who actually does yoga is also going to be someone who's going to be interested in acupuncture, Chinese medicine, other natural ways of healing. And my screen just went down. Okay, so what we're looking at is 10% of people were doing, let's say, online, and then online before the pandemic, having like virtual classes. And then during the pandemic, 90% of students were taking online courses, really. And what's estimated as we get out of this pandemic, 65% will still be online in addition to in person. And that's anticipated. And this is because what's happened is this, what we've been kind of forced to do something in a virtual space, we're really not going to be going back to the way it was. So people are still going to seek services. And what it is really about having choices and something that's deliverable. And I know this might be blowing your mind, like how can you make something like acupuncture, massage, or what it is that we do, virtual. I mean, I personally, have resistance around it, which is why I'm actually talking about it, right? Next slide. Okay, so really, what we're living in what they consider uncertain times. And you hear this, we're living in unprecedented times, right? But that's not really true. Uncertainty is defined as doubt. right? So we're very doubtful about the future. We're uncertain about the future. And this uncertainty is because we may be operating from a paradigm that doesn't accurately reflect what we need to focus on. And therefore, it's no longer serving us. It's not really useful. And so, if you're finding yourself stuck or I can't do anything about it, then this is going to be like an area we really need to look at. A lot of people, what am I going to do with my business? There's another surge happening. And can we continue to every time there's a surge where, like interruption, closed, et cetera, et cetera, right? Okay. So we'll really need to look at this is an opportunity, right? It is shifting a paradigm in the way we practice. And I know there's that word mindset all over the place. Mind shift, right? Mindset shift. And really what this is understanding a different paradigm, right? We are in a different reality than what we want to be, right? So if your language is about going back to the way it was, like, oh, I can't wait to go back to the way it was pre-pandemic, then we're really thinking like it's 2000 in terms of 2019, but we're living in a 2022 reality, right? And I hate to point this out, some of the previous generations always are talking about, I remember when milk was 35 cents a gallon, or I remember the time, and we can't like romanticize the past in that way. It's really a matter of, okay, that's, we need to look at where we are and in terms of change our thinking, right? And this is a really big thing. And the beauty is, if you practice acupuncture, Chinese medicine, you know it is a different paradigm. And let's go with the next slide. So we need this mindset shift. So we've got to stop using what's considered a transactional model. So instead we should be using what's known as a transformational model. And so the health paradigms, what we call the Western medicine paradigm, is transactional. It's based on a broken and fixed model, and it's very cookie cutter. I go, I'm sick, I go, you give me medicine, I get better, right? I also want to point out, because I notice this is really like creeping in, or it has been creeping in to acupuncture, Chinese medicine practices, especially the more that insurance is being taken, the more we speak in terms of, you know, Western medicine terms, right? Of, how many times does it take to, for an ankle to be, to treat an ankle? And then we're trying to, some, not me, are trying to work within, oh, insurance only allows X amount of treatments. And therefore, how we practice begins to surround what is based on someone else defining that for us. And what I want to point out is, there's a lot that's evidence based. This is another, point of language. And I may be kind of going off a little bit before I come back in with this. And that really, when we look at evidence based, it really means a minimum care of standards. It's not the same as patient centered, right? So we can always use it. Yes, research has shown that this is effective, but research doesn't determine exactly what's going to be the right plan for your patient, right? It's always nice to get recognition that they did some study, but most of those studies are really very poorly designed, and they do not reflect Chinese medicine, right? That holistic model. They're looking at this lamination of a very narrow focus based on very narrow parameters that they are measuring. And oftentimes the results are, well, not significant difference, right? So people are treated according, and in that model, people are treated according to a minimum standard, right? And when that happens, they get minimum results, right? It's all the things that we complain about the education system. Oh, not enough of the standard, right? So we have to look at, there's a big system-wide attitude. There's a whole paradigm in which we're educated. There's a paradigm that also trickles down to medicine. And so what we have to look at is really take a look at how you're treating your patients. Are you doing the minimum? Take a look. Is it like, are you saying, oh, 3 sessions or before you really can determine that? And are you actually addressing all aspects of, of their health and their life, right? Remember, this is holistic medicine. Okay, so Chinese medicine is holistic and personalized, right? So this is the challenge is going to be, how do we bridge this high level of care without diluting it, right? So there's this big gap right now, right? And this gap needs to be filled, or rather bridged. And I'll reiterate, there is no substitute for the human contact, but there are ways to create what are considered touch points with your patient, right? And so this is the difference that we're going to make. So using the paradigm that is Chinese medicine to bridge or create those touch points, right? So people right now are more aware of their health issues than ever before, right? Social media is our friend, and it's also our, we'll say, is, very deleterious. But people have been trained to go virtual for most of the activities and services as possible. So virtual space has become a main form of communication, just like this broadcast that we're on right now. If you had to like sign up, clear your schedule, travel to a place, listen to a lecture, right? That would have, been very limiting. And also people are searching for virtual or hybrid ways to stay healthy or solve a health problem. They're also looking for what we consider done for you formats to follow, right? And this is good news, because this is something that you can help them with. So, what are touch points? Touch points are ways to connect with your patients and show them that you care about them. Excuse me. They come in the form of newsletters, text messages, calls, videos, offerings, articles, birthday cards, right? Recommendations, I put an asterisk there, and programs. So creating something like a wellness program is going to offer solutions to better serve your patients. So this is one of the health models. It's also a way for you to leverage your time and serve more people. And so what I'm going to ask right now is, any of this resonating with you in terms of, are you getting some ideas about what you might be able to do and how you can serve your patients? So if you've been practicing for some time, you have a way that you work with your patients and your way of doing things, right? And that's what we would call your style. And one of the things that I just want to make a shout out to all the Tri-State graduates. And even though Tri-State College is no longer operating, one of the things that we learned in terms of how we're going to treat was creating your own style. We had to question that, what is your style? What kind of style do you practice? And, that means incorporating many different things in how you treat someone. And so this was a really important topic as you started to integrate all of your learning into how do you treat your patients, right? This is also what makes you a unique healer. And so the question is like, well, what do you treat? What are you great at? So you're great at being a pain specialist, back pain or sleep, weight loss, helping people with sugar, fitness, right? Sports, anti-aging, fertility, menopause. What you become an expert in is oftentimes who's coming to you, you have great success with, right? And that becomes what's known as your niche. And really, the question is like, how do you treat it? What kind of recommendations do you make? So this is something that, if you haven't thought about it, that you already are treating in a particular way, and that you can actually put together in, let's say, a package. So that is in that what I was referencing, kind of like done for you format, right? It's not cookie cutter. It's your style, your way of treating, but put into a form in which you're able to, help many people, and you utilize what's known as the virtual space. Hmm. So acupuncture in Chinese medicine is considered alternative or complementary to Western medicine, right? But in reality, it's completely different paradigm. So when I referenced, evidence based and really, what kind of research is done, those studies are always looking at having something like Chinese medicine or East Asian medicine to kind of fill in some gaps where, but staying in that same model, right? But if we look at the fact is that we're not like an assistant, that we are a complete paradigm and a complete way of looking at health, a health model, then we can kind of like separate ourselves from, kind of being, let's say, subservient, right? And that, hate to use it, but this idea is that, that we're just like a little helper. But we look at, mainstream medicine, that standard really does not serve. And so I want to just bring this back to you, that you went to, acupuncture school, you studied all of this shift in the way we think about health, and not to lose sight of this. So people come to acupuncture and Chinese medicine because the standard health model doesn't get them results, right? So we don't want to just like kind of put them back into the standard health model, right? We need to like really take a look at this. And right now, where we are, people are stuck at home. People are more aware of health issues than ever before. We are aware of the many gaps in our health system, right? It's a whole system. And we have to really like take a, like zoom out and take a look at this. Where do we fit in? We may not fit in. We maybe have to look at, that, and accept that we're not, involved in the same system. We are aware that most people are uninformed about their health, right? And very vulnerable to misinformation. People are searching on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and they're finding a lot of misinformation. So I don't even want to get started on this topic because I am just, all the TikTok videos, wasa, cupping, you name it, being used out of context, right? So you are a licensed professional, right? So you have this credibility. We have a profession, we have professional organizations, we have licensing, and also with your current patients, you have a relationship, right? So this is also really important. They know you. For the most part, patients don't really know their primary care physician. In fact, there are all of these like walk-in places, which are cropping up all over the place, and it's great for access, but not for personalized care. So here's where we are. I love this. This is actually the character is really for risk, wagey. Right? So we're at this point right now where we can either move forward, right? There's a danger of loss, but also an opportunity of success. Now, this character has been used a lot to look at like being used for like disaster, or that moment of like, oh, danger, opportunity. It's being used as like, oh, where there's this disaster happening, or where we are right now in a pandemic, it's danger and opportunity. But the reality is we're looking at this moment where we have a choice, right? And the risk is, if you don't shift and make adjustments to the way that you practice, you can lose something, right? And the beauty is this uh, character used as risk, which is really more accurate. It has both the aspect of the yin and the yang, right? The two kind of oppose it. They're connected together. So the way we practice has to shift, and we know it's not going to go back. even though we would love for things to be back to 2019, but it's not going to go back. Homework for you. So here's where you get to look at what's happening this coming year. Uh, Take a look at your practice, and to look at the things that you say, day in and day out. Like one of the ways that you can create touch points, I kind of went over quickly a list, is you can do short videos. There are things like Loom, uh, where you after you have a session with someone, you can just say, hey, I'm checking up on you. Or if you've given them instructions to drink more water, to get more sleep, this is an area also where you can create a touch point for them, right, with like follow-up emails, send them articles, do Facebook lives, have small groups. You can even do like a book club, right? So you have that contact with your patients. I also suggest that you create something like a dispensary, and where you can actually help people. If you personally like a supplement, you can share that you like this supplement, that this is what you do, so long as within your scope, right? How you treat, you can do that, and you can send them emails and recommendations, right? And this is a way to be much more personalized. Most practices don't do that. I mean, some of you may already be doing that, so I'm reinforcing those of you that actually do make those connections, right? Your patients love you; they come to you, right? For your unique style and how you treat them, that relationship. And this is really a matter of what we do that makes a difference. It's that personalized care. So your homework is to do an assessment of your practice. Look at the things that you say day in and day out. What are your lines, your taglines, and use them as a subject line in an email, or use it as a post on social media. Tag people, make those connections, right? They're going to need to hear from you. And also, that is a way for you to create health programs and things for them. And I know I touched very briefly about health programs. It's a whole thing, but I wanted to just kind of like put that little buzz in your ear to think about it, because realistically, practices are going to need to do some form of a hybrid, right? And this is good, right? That we can actually utilize the technology and also help people. So I want to thank everyone, and just to remind you that next week we're going to have Chen Yen is going to be on the broadcast, and thank you for listening.